Hello Valhalla, my name is Megan. I am the station director here at Power 88.1, and tonight we have a very, very special interview with our candidates for Westchester Community College Student Government President. Yippee! Yay! Everyone clap! Everyone clap. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, candidates, if you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Hello, my name is Lydia Devlin.
Hello, I'm Auqui. I come from Brooklyn, New York.
Hi everyone, my name is Daelani Quezada. I'm from Yonkers, New York, and I currently serve as the Director of Public Relations for the Student Government Association.
Thank you very much, friends. All right, we're going to get started. The first question we have here is, what interests you about the position of SGA President? What do you plan to bring to the role that you think will help the SUNY WCC student body?
I think the main thing that interests me about being Student Government President is making meaningful change on the campus life and the campus community for the students. Working as a Director of Public Relations this past academic year, I've been the chair of the PR committee, so I fully understand how to delegate tasks among a group of individuals and also how to work collaboratively with a team, not just PR committee, but the executive board as well as Senate too. I think that I bring a mindful, compassionate, understanding, and very honest role. That's just the type of person I am. That's what I pride myself in. So that's what I think I bring.
Thank you, Daelani.
Thank you.
Would you like to go next?
Yes, the reason why I want the president role is because I want to learn further how policy changes are enacted, not within just our campus, but in a broader scope. One of my biggest aspirations in life is to become an activist and fight for indigenous people's rights all over South America. And I think the first part of that is to learn how does policy actually affect individuals. And one of the ways I can learn this is running for student government and enacting change onto this campus, which can then help me enact change on the outside world. What can I bring to the table? I can bring my professionalism, the way that I'm able to listen to others and take what they tell me and then feed it back to the student government and my advisors in order to adequately and accurately support the student body, whichever way that may be.
Thank you, Delta. And Lydia?
Hello, I am the only person that is running for president who has not been on the SGA, and so I haven't necessarily had a voice to have told what should happen, right? I haven't been able to say, oh, hey, can we make this change for this specific reason? However, if I become president, I want to bring this to everyone. I want to be able to have everyone be able to come to a meeting, or not a meeting, but I want to host a table where everyone can come and be like, okay, listen, the food, it sucks. The gym, it's stinky, and all the chairs are broken. I want people to come to me and be able to tell me the change that they actually want to see, instead of having there be just vague points, I don't want to have very vague things. I want people to actually see the change that they want to see in the time that they are at the school, because you're not here for very long. You're only here for about 2 years on average. And I think that everyone should be able to have a comfortable time at Westchester Community College and a time that is conducive to their learning.
Okay, thank you so much, guys. All right, we're going to take a very quick musical break, starting with Delta's request. We are going to be listening to Yo Vi Vibre by Celia Cruz. Welcome back to our conversation with the student government presidential candidates here on Power 88.1. The election closes Wednesday morning at noon, so actually Wednesday afternoon, ignore me. We are here with our candidates Lydia, Delta, and Daelani. Our second question of the night is, what aspect of your platform do you think is of the greatest concern to students?
I think one of the biggest aspects of my platform that is the greatest concern to students, they don't realize it because it's all background, is the amount of money that we get as a college. We get funded according to full-time enrollment and full-time equivalency, meaning that the school gets funded according to how many full-time students we have and full-time credits. Unfortunately, or fortunately, actually I should say, we are roughly 60% part-time students. We present 12,000 students as a whole, only 9,000 of them are actually full-time. So what this means is that our school is actually heavily underfunded, and a lot of the concerns our student government had this year was about food insecurity, student support services, mental health, all of these things that we want to change, sometimes we run into barriers because we don't have enough funds to actually move things around. So I'm hoping that within my presidential run, I'll be able to continue my work that I already started and advocating for community colleges as a whole to get more funds, as well as advocating for our student services so they can get allocated more funds as well.
I think also being on the executive board and knowing the behind the scenes of what the student government has done this past academic year. I also work as the student marketing specialist in the Department of Student Involvement, and I work with the Department of Mental Health and Counseling, Student Support Services, and Health Services. So not only on the student end as student government, but also on the professional end, having relationships with these departments. I can tell you, similar to Delta, they are underfunded, they're overworked and understaffed. My main priority would be to continue and revitalize the food insecurity initiative that was started by the student government this year. One of the biggest things that I'd love to do is partner with Pepsi on a further scale. I was able to partner with Pepsi for Blue and Gold Day, which was an event that I planned and hosted in the fall semester. It was one of the biggest events during the academic year, and we got Pepsi to partner with us and give us drinks. So I'd like to continue that relationship with Pepsi as well and extend that olive branch and bring it back to the initiative that I'd like to continue on food insecurity.
Right, thank you, Daelani. Lydia?
As someone who hasn't been on the student government, I have not heard about these things. However, from somebody who is in 2 different clubs as an e-board member and who also participates in other clubs beyond that, and as an honor student, right? But mostly as somebody who participates in a lot of clubs, I've found that it is difficult to actually recruit people because there's only one time where you can actually recruit members. It's in a big event, like where all the clubs go during the club fair, and that's once during the semester, right? And so those who want to make true lifelong connections and possibly connections that will help them in the future with work, the people who want to do that are a little bit barred from that if they come in during the 7-week point for their classes, like the people who join the classes that only start halfway through the semester. And I think that that's not fair to them, and I would like to actually help those people get into clubs and host more fairs, and I would like to make it easier to get up advertising for club events.
All right, thank you guys so much. So we're going to take our second break real quick with a song request from Daelani, Bring Me to Life by Evanescence. Our next question is, as SGA president, you will have to be interacting with a large part of the student body, including people of various backgrounds and experiences. So in what ways do you feel you are suited to work with those whose beliefs and mindsets are different from your own?
I think I'm suited to work with different peoples of various different backgrounds, political ideologies, and just people in general, because I am on the side. I am the open mic host where we have various different peoples come into our open mics and just discussing with people and truly getting the energy that they bring to the table and then meeting them in the middle. When you're meeting with people in the middle, it truly is about connecting with them on a person-to-person level. And I truly enjoy talking to people and I enjoy having conversations. And I think that's what I would do. I don't think I would necessarily push my ideals onto someone else, especially if they're coming towards me as a president. That's what I personally believe.
I work as an art teacher when I'm outside of school. And I also volunteer with Girl Scouts, which is like a lot of little kids, and they all have like their own different thing that they're worried about, and some of them are like on the spectrum, for example. And so I have to find a way to help those children fit in and be able to participate and have fun with all of the other kids, right? As if like nothing is happening, which is really difficult. And I also try to promote this inclusivity in the 2 clubs that I'm a part of. When I see people who aren't participating, I go up to them and I'm like, I help them, I talk to them, I'm like, hey, this person isn't like talking either, how about you guys like talk to each other? And I start conversation, and it usually kind of flows from there. But if not, I'll keep trying, I'll keep inviting them to do things. I will do what I can to make sure that everyone feels okay and heard and that they don't feel alone.
Fundamentally, I think some of the most important things that we all crave as humans are respect and kindness, and that's how I approach every single person. This previous summer, I was an orientation leader, and so I managed and I had large groups of students for multiple days during the summer to introduce them to the campus life and campus community. And that included students of all different various backgrounds. Like the other candidates said, political ideology, race, ethnicity, etc., etc. And I just approached that with the same thing I approach everything, kindness and respect. I'm also a sales associate, and so I deal with several different personalities on a daily basis. And I know how to keep it respectful even when things get a little bit emotional or a little bit heightened. So yeah, fundamentally, respect and kindness to absolutely everyone, even if I don't particularly agree with them.
Right. How do you see your academic experiences here at SUNY WCC helping you to lead the student government?
So as a student that currently has a 4.0 GPA as part of the honors and is going to study abroad in Cambridge this summer, I can say that I'm a very hardworking individual, and I absolutely do pride myself in maintaining a fantastic academic standing. Everything I do it to the best of my ability, no matter what it is. Everything should be as pristine and as perfect as possible, and of course nothing is perfect, but I will always strive for my absolute best, and I believe that shows in my work professionally, my extracurriculars in SGA, and in my academics.
I am also an honors student, and like I said, I work in multiple different clubs, and after school I work with young children, and I believe that this will help me with communication with other people, considering that, like I said before, I work with children who aren't necessarily able to communicate. Like, some of them might not even talk, and I have to be able to understand what they want and what is happening without making people, including little kids, which is actually more difficult than adults. I have to work with making people understand and participate and feel welcomed, especially.
I don't personally believe that academic accolades is necessarily helpful to a T, because you can strive to be a 4.0 student. You can strive to be the best of the best. But at the same time, what truly matters is your passion. I think for me personally, I have never really aimed to get easy A's. I've always aimed to get complex papers and complex topics. And that's what makes me me. You know, my major is anthropology, the study of humanity, and this whole entire major is all about philosophy and, you know, how human beings interact with one another. And so whenever I'm doing my assignments, I'm always diligently trying to look for not the right answer, but the answer that shines the brightest, the one that goes against the grain. The way that I do one thing is the way I do everything. I will also strive to not just get the most politically correct statement. I will always try to get the best thing possible for the students, no matter, just with passion.
I want to add that I fully agree with that. For example, I had a doctor, right, who kept telling me that he had graduated the top of his class and that he knows everything, right? And he was giving me a diagnosis, and then I would go to a different doctor and they were like, actually, that was a little silly, right? That they would say that, because it's not about grades, it's about looking deeper in yourself and into other people and actually trying to have empathy.
I'm actually going to take a different stance than the other candidates. While I don't entirely think that academic standing is a 100% foolproof method of determining someone's success, especially as someone who has struggled to maintain a 4.0 GPA, I think that it does correlate to work ethic, and of course it goes beyond, like I said, academics, but even just your essence as a person, your work ethic, like I said, I think while it's not a tell-all sign, it's definitely something that should be considered and not negated, because you do need to meet a certain GPA requirement to be in certain club organizations and honor societies, whatever it may be. That's my stance on it.
All right, thank you guys so much. We're going to take a little break with Lydia's song request, Chamber of Reflection by Mac DeMarco. What do you three think is the most important thing for Vikings to know about you outside of anything about school, anything academic, any achievements, like about you as a person?
So I think it's important for people to know that I am an artist. However, I am also a scientist, right? Or at least I'm studying to be a scientist. I believe that art and science go hand in hand, and that although a lot more people believe this now than they did before. I don't know if everyone really believes or knows this, and that people who are in the sciences and people in the arts, I think that they should all like get together and be friends, because they're both very important and they're both very interconnected.
This is a very good question. It's a great question. I just want to say thank you to Megan for being our MC tonight. I want to start off with saying that the top 3 things I want people to know about me is 1, I travel from Brooklyn, New York. And the story behind that is very interesting. After COVID, my mental health wasn't too great, and I wanted some nature. And the community colleges that were near me they weren't really naturey, as you can see, where I'm from the city. So then I found out about Westchester Community College, and I was like, I love this school. I love the birds, I love the geese, and I love the trees. And so I just started coming here, and I commute a total of 2.5 hours. Hopefully next year it will go down to 1 hour after I get my license. The second thing that I want people to know about me is that I am a poet. I'm a poet by heart, and I've been hosting an open mic with my brother Sunshine for over 3 years at various spots, and we just started a new open mic at the Crossroads in Brooklyn every 4th Tuesday of every month. Nice little plug-in. The last thing that I want people to know about me is that I'm a very passionate person. I don't think there's anything I can do without passion. Speak to anyone, and literally, I am always passionate. I sometimes think I'm way too passionate, but it's what I like to do, man. I can't do something 50%. I always gotta give everything my all.
I think that's kind of a hard question to answer, purely because typically speaking, we kind of have a difficult, just like we as humans have a difficult time of kind of advocating for ourselves in a positive light. And I think that's kind of what I'm struggling with right now, where it's like I can tell you like all of these great things about me, but like I don't know, it's kind of difficult. I find I think I've been told that I'm a really kind person. I think I just lead everything with my heart. That's what I try to do. I genuinely care about everyone. Like I don't need to know you, but I want you to be comfortable. I want you to feel safe. Like it's not an option for me, it's a priority. Literally outside of campaigning, outside of my time in SGA, just like my friends, the people that I meet, like it's everyone. For example, no one wanted to be a backpack in a social media video, so I became the backpack. Not because I wanted to, but because I figured, let me save someone else the embarrassment. Yeah, there's definitely some difficulty with kind of speaking of yourself so highly, but I like to think I'm a kind person.
First and foremost, I just want to say thank you to Lydia and Daelani for coming here. I think this is brilliant to have our voices be out there so students can hear us. And I just want to say that if you're in this position, if you're running for candidacy, that means you're already great. You're already great enough to be up here, because you have to be, first and foremost approved by secretary. You have to write that nomination form, which took me quite a while, to be honest. And I think we shouldn't be talking below ourselves. I think we all deserve to be here. And yeah, that's what I gotta say.
So we're going to take another quick break, and we're playing another song request from Daelani, Eye of the Tiger by Survivor.
I want all of the students to be able to speak with student government much more openly than they've been able to in the past. I want to open a table in front of the student center so people can come up and they can be like, listen, the food sucks, everything is dirty, and I'll be like, okay, cool, like we'll see what we can do to like we can have a conversation about this and see what changes like the students want. Or like the food's too expensive, we could probably put programs in place to help those who don't have any money to have more food for themselves, because it's not conducive to education for somebody to be starving in class.
Actually, I'd like to kind of make a point, not as a candidate, but as a current member of the Student Government Executive Board. One of the things that we have done is we have set aside money so that the couches in the cultural lounge can be replaced for the fall semester. So we are hearing student concerns. Everything in the college process takes forever. It takes multiple semesters to get things passed, to get things done. And so it's not that the SGA hasn't tried. We've definitely tried. We've definitely done things. We are just not seeing the fruits of our labor necessarily this academic year. But there are things put in place, and I think Delta could definitely talk about some of the other things, specifically food related.
Thank you, Daelani, for that. I just wanted to say that I do listen to these concerns. A suggestion box, it's kind of in the corner. As president, I'll probably do like a Microsoft form. Well, actually, I'm creating it now. No matter who's in the next president, I'm gonna make sure they have access to this Microsoft forms for suggestions. So anybody can actually give suggestions to us, and it'll be posted around campus. That would be the first thing. And the second thing is, to saying that you want change on campus is beautiful. To say that we all want change on campus is beautiful. The thing is that when it comes to bringing change on campus, there's these processes that we have to go through, writing resolutions, and once you write the resolution, you have to pass it through Senate. After you pass it through Senate, then you must delegate it as a president to where they must go, whether it be the FSC Board of Directors or the Faculty Senate or the Board of Trustees and Student Affairs, etc. And I think that is something that people don't really know of because it's all the background stuff that comes with being student government, which I particularly enjoy doing because, when it comes to resolutions, you gotta have a little bit of research, and I feel like I'm in my prime. First thing that sets me apart from my candidates is my professionalism. The way I've been presenting myself within my campaigns has been with a suit on every single day except on Fridays. And that's also been just like my Instagram page as well. I did not feel like I wanted to go with the short route. It's also partially because I'm not too good at social media. And so what I've been doing is I've just been doing professional photo shoots, and that's what I've been doing as a presidential candidate. And I feel like I would like to continue this even when I'm inside of the position. I would like to still come to school with at least a button down. Maybe not every day because laundry, right? But yeah.
I would like to continue on what the other two said about things taking forever and that there is a suggestion box. I was out campaigning and I was talking to a lot of students about how they see the changes that they want to see, or like at least to be able to speak to the student government people. And a lot of people feel that it's difficult to actually reach out to the student government people. Like you have to go through and make a formal email or a formal, like you have to write a whole thing down. But instead, I want there to be a way to speak to them directly, and you don't have to go out of your way to find where the office is, because a lot of people don't know where the office is. I want it to be right in the middle of campus, to where it's easy to access this kind of discussion.
Before anyone adds anything else, I just want to say really quickly, I apologize for our station being haunted. If you heard that weird creaking noise, don't know what was up with that. Daelani?
I appreciate your feedback, Lydia, and all of the students who have felt that way. However, as a DPR, I am literally an Instagram DM away. We haven't gotten any Instagram DMs. Additionally, the website has been updated. That's one of the things I worked on this academic year. So our room number is on the website. Additionally, we have office hours posted, and most of the time, somebody's in there. The thing is that perhaps students don't feel like they can come up to us, but that's not that we're not there. It's more that they just haven't come up to us. We've spoken to several students. It's not like the student voices aren't being heard. It's just maybe not everyone is comfortable. And that's not of a lack of presence from the SGA, because we're around. We were tabling during our Vikings Help Vikings initiative for practically the entire month of February. So we were around. We were in the student center. We were speaking with students. And there are several different lines of communication that students can find us. All of our emails are also on the website. And I feel like I never answered the question. The thing that I can bring as the presidential candidate is my pre-existing professional relationships with multiple departments here at the college, with mental health and counseling, student support services, health department, as well as other parts of the campus. Additionally, this summer I will be serving as an orientation coordinator, and that will extend all of my professional relationships. They will strengthen the ones that I currently have, and they will create new ones. So I believe and I know that I can facilitate easier communication between students, staff, faculty, administration, etc., etc.
I actually have a question for you, Daelani. So if you say that you go around and you talk to a lot of students, then why would students still feel like scared to come up to talk to the SGA? I feel like that's not like an appropriate thing. I feel like there should be no real boundary, that they should come around like as often as they can, like whether it be like however many times a month to just discuss things with people, or if we put together like a bigger group of people to do your previous job to just talk to the students. and be like, listen, like we really, really want to hear what you want to have to say, instead of like saying, oh, like here's our email, here's our Instagram. And a lot of students I've talked to don't have Instagram because they are older, they don't necessarily use social media, or maybe they don't have access to like phones or something. But I think that there should be more communication, even though they're like, I'm not saying there isn't a lot of communication now, I'm just saying that it can be improved upon.
First and foremost, my name is pronounced Daelani.
I apologize.
It's okay. Well, yes, things can always be improved. However, it is also not the student government's responsibility to try and make someone find comfort in themselves to come speak to us. We are there, we are around, we are tabling, we are all students. Working with everyone, I can say we're all kind individuals. We're not unapproachable. It's simply that students just haven't come up to us, and that's not necessarily our fault. That could just be something that's self-imposed. And I don't know if Delta would like to add anything to that, but yeah, there are plenty of lines of communication, and it's just students simply not reaching out to us, even though we're there physically, via email, via Instagram. We even have a Facebook.
And a Twitter.
And a Twitter, guys.
Oh my gosh.
If you want us to make a TikTok account, we can work to do that too.
I just want to interject. As treasurer, I have worked diligently in responding to emails from club officers, make sure club officers know that they have big budgets, that they have additional allocations, and I've always posted my office hours. And within this run as treasurer, I literally only had maybe 2 or 3 clubs who didn't fill out the form right and didn't receive the adequate funds that they needed. But I think us as an e-board has been one of the best e-boards in the last few years. And I just don't want to downplay that. There are definitely many ways that we can improve on. And I just want to say personally, I've had people come to my office and tell me their concerns. I have heard concerns about not feeling safe on campus, not having, the right space, and we are working on trying to figure out short-term solutions, because there is a long-term solution plan to turn the whole entire student center into the center for students and only for students. The top floor will be provided to students of various different backgrounds, but that is a long-term plan. So we're still trying to figure out what can we do short-term. If students have ideas, they could always come to our Senate meetings. Our Senate meetings is open to everybody, and they could provide feedback and they could provide concerns, and we could listen to them and we can figure out the feasibility of those concerns.
I'm not trying to criticize the work that you two have done, but as somebody, like, I'm just speaking through the students that I have talked to about this over the last few days and weeks, about the communication with it. Like, I understand that you two work very hard, but I do think that there could be improvements, and that's really what I'm trying to get at.
I think no matter what, there could always be improvements. One of the things I mentioned earlier about myself is that I always strive for perfection, and that's literally unachievable. So I agree there can always be improvements, but as Delta said, I don't think we should be at all downplaying what the executive board has done this last academic year, because we've definitely done a lot. The last point I want to make is that the student government can't tackle everything. We can't solve every problem. We're also just students at the end of the day.
Like I said, it's really commendable what you guys have been able to do, that you've been able to push forth all of these different accounts and have been able to speak with actual students. But like I said, I'm speaking through the people that I've discussed with.
Thank you so much for this valuable info, and I'm sorry to hear that students feel like they can't approach us. If you would like to insist this live, and this will be going on the Power 88.1, you can reach out to the SGA treasurer at suny.wcc.edu, and I can bring all these concerns up to e-board as well. Or you can reach out to any of us, really, and we can do our best to bring up these concerns. But the one thing that I want to make sure I make clear as a president is that I will be transparent with you and tell you how feasible your concerns are, because not everything can be done. Like, we can't build a new building tomorrow. Rome wasn't built in a day. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys so much. We're going to take a quick break for Delta's song request, Boogie Wonderland by Earth, Wind, and Fire. And then we are going to have a special final question with a super, super secret guest. who you will never ever possibly know except in 4 minutes from now when she starts talking.
Okay, so the question is, what is something that the SGA has done this year you would like to see continue into your presidency, and how are you going to accomplish that?
I think the biggest thing that the SGA tackled this year was fighting against food insecurity. I'd love to bring back the Vikings Help Vikings bottle initiative, give it a new life. As I mentioned earlier, I'd love to partner with Pepsi, especially during orientation and as an orientation coordinator. I know that I can do that because I've done it before. Partner with Pepsi, we love that. And just get the ball rolling, set the foundation for the new and transfer students during orientation to recycle and how to recycle properly. Furthermore, I work with student support services professionally, so I understand the needs that they have as far as being overworked and understaffed and what their food pantry needs. So being able to connect with them directly and know exactly what it is and the support that they would need. So continuing to battle food insecurity through a revived Vikings Help Vikings bottle recycling initiative, partnership with Pepsi, and direct contact with student support services.
As treasurer of the Student Government Association, I have enjoyed how much the finance committee has grown. We have allocated a lot of funds to a lot of clubs, and I think it's been a joy to see how much more efficient our finance committee has become. As the chair of the Green Committee, I will also like to continue the bottle initiative, but slightly in a different way. I think we as the student government did the best we could, but simply put, the return of investment just wasn't feasible enough to continue the Vikings Help Vikings. I would like to continue the research that Mo, our senator, has done with the bottle machines in order to actually get a bottle machine on campus, see how feasible that is within our board of administrators, and hopefully have that be here, and rather than us getting bottles and driving to a supermarket, wasting gas, and like that, we would have a direct line of combat to give these bottles to student support services so they can fund more food. And for food insecurity, I would also like to continue it, but in a slightly different manner as well. I would still continue doing donations within the student support services and with the Hunger Games. But what I would also do, taking to note a lot of community colleges who have student discount cards where they can use this card at partnerships where they would get this discount. One of these community colleges that do this is OCC, which is a little bit up north. Anandanga. I apologize for my short lisp. But they have this laser card where all students have 10 to 15% off of a Grubhub deliveries, which is major for students because every single dollar that's saved matters, because every single dollar can help within food. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to set up our partnerships with the sandwich spot, the gas stations, and the grocery stores. I can at least bare minimum, get a partnership with Diamond Vinny's that we already have, but expand it to all students so people can get pizza outside of college hours. And also funding equality. I worked on the funding equity, closing the gap resolution by myself for SUNY SA, which is SUNY Student Assembly, where I'm advocating for community colleges to get funding across the board. Because I believe it is honestly frustrating to see so many community colleges struggle simply because a majority of the student population are part-time students. Because a SUNY system gives funds according to how many full-time students you have. And community colleges are made up of a lot of working adults, and these adults can't come to school full-time. I don't think it's fair for us to be punished just because of that. So I am willing to continue my work with SUNY SA to provide the student voice for community colleges, for us to actually fund student support services, to us to actually fund mental health services, and many more student services that we have on campus. Thank you.
So, as someone who wasn't a part of SGA, the initiatives that I am familiar with, are the food initiatives and also the mental health initiatives. I would like to see those continue to help students because mental health service, right, that is so expensive. I have friends who pay hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a session. One session will be $300 for some people, and I don't think that's right for people to be under so much stress. Like Daelani said, she has a 4.0, and I can only imagine how much stress that she had to go through to have that 4.0, right? She probably works every single day. And other students like that who work all the time, right? who are so committed, I don't think that they should have to pay all this crazy amount of money, right, to have just basic mental health service. I think it's very important for people who are very dedicated to what they are studying to have these services, including the food services.
Something I'd like to touch on, just as someone who works with the Department of Mental Health and Counseling, is that most students, if not all students, can receive free counseling from the Department of Mental Health. Patrick Sheehan is our director. He offers it. Nicole Martel, Alyssa Sosa, and our new bilingual counselor, Tanya Ramirez, I believe her name is. It's been only a few weeks. I'm still trying to remember if it's Rodriguez or Ramirez, but I think it's Tanya Ramirez. So just in case anyone is listening and needs the services, you can go to the website, fill out the intake form. You can also go on the Mental Health and Counseling Instagram as well to find it. The easiest way will probably be finding it on the website or emailing mental health and counseling at SUNY WCC.
I also want to point out that I did some research over spring break on mental health disparities within community colleges versus four-year institutions. And it's found that there's 1,600 counselors per 3,000 students within community colleges. Meanwhile, four-year institutions have just way more resources, so they're able to allocate more counselors per their student body. And for me personally, I take mental health with Patrick, and at times it's really difficult to get a meeting time scheduled because there's so many students who need the help. So I would love to continue the work and once again, go for legislation, provide funds for our services, and create a new resolution for SUNY SA regarding mental health. There's already been focus on it on the wider student body. I also want to dictate that even though you may not be familiar with SGA initiatives, if you're not in the SGA board, if you've done research on anything that you're really passionate about, I think that's still worth sharing. If you have statistics, numbers, something that's a concrete plan, I think that's still a really great answer.
All right, thank you so much for tuning in. Tonight's interview will be posted on Power 88.1 social medias by tomorrow morning. You can follow us on Instagram at Power 88.1, and you can follow the SUNY WCC Student Government Instagram at SGA WCC. It's nice in all letters. Does anyone have any goodbye remarks they would like to make?
Yes, I love these. I love giving respect where respect is due. And I just want to say thank you to Christina Hill, our president, for visiting us today. Thank you to Megan, our host. Power 88.1. Thank you to Secretary Quito, Kathleen Quito, who has been running the elections and has been so diligently and responding to all the emails in such a rapid pace. And thank you to the SGA for allowing this to flourish.
Thank you to the candidates and thank you to the listeners as well. Remember to vote via your My WCC portal.
Thank you guys for being so cool, I'm grateful to discuss things with people who also want to see good change in the school and not just people who want this stuff on their resume.
All right, thank you so much. We're going to close it out with one last request from our candidate, Lydia. We Are the Champions by Queen.